So Xbox put their price of their Game Pass Ultimate up by 50% and millions of people cancelled. And the company spent the last few months pretending that was totally fine. Well, this week, they stopped pretending. Xbox's own leadership put it in writing, in a memo to their own staff, that the business as it stands cannot continue. And here's the part that should make every single person who's ever bought an Xbox have a think about it. This isn't them having a rough quarter. This is them admitting that the whole model of business is broken. Right as a round of layoffs is about to hit over. So let's go through exactly what got said, who said it, and why it lands on you, the consumer, the person who actually paid for any of this. Because the main story here is not that Xbox made a mistake. It's that they bought half the industry, charged you more for it, lost you anyway, and now have put in writing that they don't know what the hell they're doing. Let's go back to October last year. Game Pass Ultimate goes from $20 a month up to $30. That's a 50% jump overnight. PC Game Pass went up too, from $12 to $16.50. Now the justification for this was just one game, Call of Duty. Pay the extra 10 months, get the new Call of Duty the day it launches. That was their pitch. Adding one game doesn't turn a 50% hike into any kind of deal. Not everybody plays Call of Duty, for crying out loud. But here's what this pitch actually did for Xbox. In an interview with the Game Business this month, Xbox's Chief Strategy Officer Matthew Ball said it directly. Quote, "We shed millions of subscribers over the span of a few months." End quote. Fast forward to April 2026 and they cut the price hike. $29.99 back down to $22.99. PC Game Pass drops from $16.50 to $13.99. So the $30 they told you was the new normal in October didn't even last 6 months. They clearly blinked due to shedding all those subscribers. But this is the part that does actually matter. So before the hike, Ultimate was $20 a month. After the cut, it's now $23. That's $3 a month more than you paid before any of this crap started. And on the way down, they of course pulled Call of Duty Day 1, which was the headline perk they used to justify charging more in the first place. Future Call of Duty now lands 1 year after release. So if you strip it all back, you're now paying more than you were before the hike. And the one thing they added to justify hiking it in the first place, they took it all away. That is not a price cut. That's simply just a price rise with a perk that they removed to justify it to begin with. Now, I'll be a little bit fair to Xbox here because running a live service like this is obviously not cheap. And Call of Duty Day 1 on a subscription level, that is a real cost considering how much the game costs to make. So I'm not going to pretend that the bills for the company aren't real. But the problem is not that it costs money. The problem is they bet on this as a strategy, watched it fail in real time, and they made you and me pay more for months before they even admitted it. So that's just the consumer side, which is our side. Here's where it gets pretty grim, which is the internal company side. Phil Spencer is out as of February. The new boss running Microsoft Gaming, Asher Sharma. 100-day reset. We all know how this goes. And on the 10th of June, Sharma and the content chief Matt Booty put out a memo, and it's pretty brutal. Not PR brutal, but actually pretty bad. Here's the receipt. Xbox is on track to finish the financial year with what they internally call an accountability margin of around 3%. 3% for a business this side, that is razor thin. Get rid of the Activision Blizzard King deal and the memo lays it out for us. More than $20 billion poured into content, platform and hardware over 5 years, while the annual revenue shrank by close to $500 million across the exact same stretch. And then of course the line mentioned earlier. Sharma and Booty wrote, quote, "Going forward, this cannot continue," end quote. So 20 billion in revenue going backwards at an alarming rate, 3% margin, and the people in charge writing the words, "This cannot continue," to their own staff. So just think about this for a second. $20 billion, and this is before you count the $69 billion that they paid for Activision. And for years, people who criticized this were told that subscription services like Game Pass are the future. Sustainability questions are just cope for us. But now the leadership has written it down in black and white. This isn't working. They said it, not us. They finally said what we all thought all along. And if you've been thinking the gaming industry's been cooked for a while now, like it seemingly has been, and you like breakdowns of corporate failures like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future video. But here's my actual take, and it's everything that I'm pretty much about on this channel. This is what corporate greed displacing the player experience looks like when the bill finally arrives. Xbox went on a 5-year shopping spree. Bethesda, Activision, King. They bought up the board like Monopoly pieces. But their bet was simple. If you own enough studios, own enough franchises, funnel it all into one subscription, people will have to pay you forever. But you can't buy your way into making people like you. We all know this. You can own Call of Duty and still hand players a worse deal than they had before. Now clearly that ambition was real. Consolidating that much talent could have been incredible if the point was great games. But it's never about making great games. It's about recurring revenue. We as players can smell that shit when it stinks as badly as this did. So $20 billion later, one thing they couldn't buy was a reason for us to stay. And there's an even worse part to this timing. That $20 billion miscalculation is coming due at the exact moment a second crisis is about to hit Xbox. One that's got absolutely nothing actually to do with Game Pass and everything to do with the hardware inside the console. So you would think after the subscription debacle that lesson learned, regroup, sort out the subscription mess, except of course they don't get a chance now because the hardware side is in just as much trouble, if not more. So the same June memo that they released flags a hardware cost crisis, and these numbers are pretty bad. Xbox's storage component costs have roughly quadrupled since the autumn of 2025, and they're projected to hit around 5 times that baseline by the 2027 holiday season. And of course, here's the cause of it, and it's pretty ironic, this whole thing. Samsung, SK, Hynix, and Micron have shifted their production towards the high bandwidth memory that AI data centers are screaming out for. Consumer DRAM and NAND. The stuff that goes in a console gets starved. DRAM prices jumped around 90% in the first quarter of this year alone, which is insane. And who are some of the biggest buyers of that AI memory? Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon. So on the supply side, the company funding the AI boom and the company trying to build you an affordable console are the same company. So just have a think about that second, because it's pretty crazy. Microsoft's own AI hunger is part of what's making Microsoft's own console way more expensive to build. And this is the backdrop for that leaked next-gen machine that everybody's been chasing, codenamed Project Helix. Hybrid box runs Xbox and PC games, leaked price bands somewhere around $900 to $1,200 US. So just be clear here for a moment, the Helix specs are indeed a leak, so just treat the price as a rumor, not gospel. But the cost pressure squeezing it, that is straight from the company's own memo in June. Matthew Ball reckons this shortage runs to at least 2028. 2028. His words are, the crisis is not getting any better. And who are the people that carry this particular burden? Microsoft's financial year closes on June the 30th. Reporting points to a major wave of cuts right after, with marketing budgets slashed and a studio closure all lineup change not ruled out. A figure of up to 1,000 job roles has been circulating in the coverage, but we need to be straight for a second. The numbers reported and unconfirmed, so it's not official yet. But what is solid is that significant cuts, they are coming. And the people who lose work are the developers, not the executives who spent that $20 billion to begin with. So here's the whole thing in a nutshell. They put Game Pass Ultimate up 50%, $20 to $30. Players left in the millions by their own strategy chief's account. They then cut the price back and pulled Call of Duty Day 1. Leadership admitted in writing, 3% margin, $20 billion spent, revenue down, this cannot continue. Chip costs quadrupling, partly thanks to an AI boom that they're helping to drive, and a wave of job cuts landing right after the books close for the financial year. This isn't simply a bad quarter for Xbox. This is a strategy blowing up in public. Now, Sharma walking and admitting this is more than the last regime managed to do. Cutting the price back this is the right call. Owning it in writing is weirdly a good sign. But an honest diagnosis doesn't unspend a wasted $20 billion, and it doesn't save the jobs going at the end of the month. Saying that this cannot continue, that's step one. But as always, the players are paying more for less and the developers losing their job, well, all of us, we're still getting shafted by Xbox either way. So that's where Xbox is actually at in June of 2026. Not according to a leaker, not according to me, but according to their own internal memo. But of course, this is bigger than Xbox, because for years the whole industry's been steering you off owning your own games into renting access by subscription. Ubisoft's own subscription boss said the goal was getting players comfortable with not owning their own games. That's of course the subscription trap, and Game Pass is the biggest version of it going. I've done a full breakdown on how subscriptions are quietly ending game ownership, and if you want the full picture, that's the video for you to watch next. Bye for now.